Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you guys. Although I can't see you, I have to imagine you being out there. It's me, Bill Bridges, and Andrew Greenberg, here to talk about Fading Suns.
Yay! Hurrah, hurrah! Oh,
Uh,
Frabjous Day.
we do a normal bi weekly stream called
There's
Heretical
nothing normal about
Musings.
it.
That's true, it's an
You're regularly
abnormal
scheduled.
stream where we talk all sorts of Fading Sun stuff. But for this time, I thought we'd first of all talk about what Fading Suns is really quick, because I'm assuming there's going to be some people out there on Ulysses online con here who haven't heard about it before. Then we'll talk about where we're going with Fading Suns, what's happening next. And so, Fading Suns, far future science fiction, dark ages in space. Humanity reached the stars, built a republic of high technology and universal emancipation, then fought over it and lost it. Now we're living in the ruins and the empire of noble houses, scheming priests, and untrustworthy guilders. The guilds hold all the technology, the nobles rule the world, and the priests rule the souls. In the era of the fading suns, as the sun slowly darken and judgment is surely at hand.
Not that there are things out in space looking to eat your soul.
Well, there's that too. So yeah, Fading Suns. And we've had other editions of Fading Suns in the past, and Ulysses has just come out with a brand new one. Yay! The backers on the Kickstarter and crowdfunding stuff should be getting theirs real soon. Those guys out in Europe got theirs, those Finks. But out here, us in the States, we're going to have to wait just a few more weeks. It'll be in May. And then everybody will have their physical products. Uh, Backers should also already have the digital products, the ones with all the book marks
Bookmark.
and such. Those went out earlier in the week. So you should all have those now. And then the public will be able to buy them on all sorts of places once everybody who did the crowdfunding gets them first. And that was what we call the Pax Alexius wave, the new edition. Alexius is the emperor of the Fading Suns, and we are now living in a sort of period of relative peace following upon the Emperor Wars, which were featured in the Emperor of the Fading Suns strategy computer game.
Which you can get on GOG.com.
So now we're more of a Cold War situation, as all these noble houses still vie against one another, but they do it more with politics and backstabbing.
Bye.
And there's new frontiers and barbarians whose worlds need to be brought to the light of the Pancreator, and all sorts of stuff.
We're commenting about the books in chat. Man No Truth notes on the boat. Now, I think he means he's on the boat. We're on the Deep Space Explorer. No. Yeah, they're on a boat. Dream Shaper 12 says they're already going to get the physical book during the Kickstarter, and I'm looking forward to placing an order too. Yep.
Cool.
The liars still waiting on our books.
Yeah, so what you get is there are 3 core books. There's the universe book that introduces the setting. There's the character book that gives you the rules and character creation and all sorts of cool stuff like the traits. Then there's the Game Master book, tells you all about NPCs and creatures and dramas, which is what we call adventures. And then there are all sorts of little extra stuff. There's the factions book that gives you all the minor houses, minor sects, some of the alien species, the changed, who are the mutants, and the cyborg, cybernetic, enhanced folks.
And Phantom Truth notes that the boat is currently Rotterdam to Hamburg, which really sounds like one of those cheap little eateries near me. But I won't talk about food poisoning tonight. Go ahead, Bill.
And so other books in the initial wave include there's the Imperial Dossiers. These are slim little books, each examining some of the big factions in Fading Suns.
Slim in size, fat with value.
Yeah, exactly. There's all sorts of cool secrets. First wave gave us House Hawkwood. That's the Emperor's house. There's Earth Orthodox, who are the main sect that runs the church. All the patriarchs for quite some time have been from that sect. And then there are the Reeves Guild. They are the lawyers and the bankers, guys who kind of secretly run a lot of things. Also in that wave, we got the Intrigues and Escapades book, which is a book of adventures and also lots of advice on how to scheme between nobles, guilds, and priests. Big thing in Fading Suns. And let's see, we got a play kit, which gives you all sorts of extra stuff like play mats, a list of the skill maneuvers, some NPCs or players. You can use them as beginning players, or you can use them as NPCs. All sorts of little extra stuff, and so that stuff will show up on the Ulysses website once it's available. But it'll also be all over the place for sale. Drive through eventually too. And
Yep, it's coming
so,
to a store near you.
yep, and that catches us up to where Fading Suns has been and is at now. And so the topic tonight was that what's in the future for Fading Suns. And we'll talk basically about, give you some little hints on what's coming up, but also we'll talk about stuff in the setting too, where things might be going, where some speculation on that is. And first, I'm going to let Andrew interrupt if he's got anything he wants to specifically say before we dive in.
Absolutely. So we'd love to know you in chat. I see we've got a few of our veterans out there. Chainsaw Gothic, Phantom of Truth, etc. But for others of you, if you're new to the setting, let us know. Let us know what you would like to know about from it. Fading Suns is an interesting, has a different approach than most other any other role-playing game, in that we have had multiple game lines that have informed the game in different ways. As Bill mentioned, there's the Emperor of the Fading Suns game, which takes us all the way up to the end of the Emperor Wars. Alexius is crowned Emperor. Then the first three editions of the game book then take you through the next 20 years of play. And now the fourth edition is coming out with all sorts of cool stuff where he is cementing his reign, surprise everything, a wife expanding into barbarian lands, all sorts of crazy things going on. So, and then we've also got the Noble Armada miniatures game and computer game to talk about just the space combat side. For those of you who are fascinated by the space combat side and want to go more in depth on that, there's the Passion Play live action RPG. So that's been a lot of fun through the years. And each of these really looks at the universe, the IP, and its themes in a whole new ways. So we're glad to talk about any of these along the way. So, yeah, Bill, you've been talking about the next wave. I think since we've got a number of veterans here, why don't we start with the next wave? And if you have anything you want us to go over, let us know in the chat.
I'm not going to spoil any secrets here. We're just going to give some hints about what's going to be coming. First of all, I will say that all the books and products in the next wave have been written and edited, and they're getting art done right now. So they're actually very close to getting ready to go. But we're not going to roll those out until everybody who's backed the first wave gets their copies. That was our promise to you guys. And through COVID and through printer problems and shipping and all sorts of stuff, it's taken us a while, but we're getting there. Almost there. Then once everybody gets theirs, we'll start to roll out the... I see a question popped up. Fan of Truth asks, what is your favorite species and why is it Vow? I certainly do love the Vow, but I have a special love of Vorox too. Anything with a V, you know?
You wouldn't know why Bill would have an interest in the crazy, furry mass murderers of the universe.
Why would I?
Not that they're defending their own planet's ecosystem or anything.
So yeah, it's actually Vorox, probably more than Vow even, but Vow, of course, also. Anybody who's new to this who wants to know who the Vow are, they are an alien race who is much more advanced than humans in the known worlds. And they have a whole empire of their own, but they've closed their borders for the most part. Humans aren't really allowed, or I should say known worlders, because there's lots of alien species within the known worlds too, and they're not allowed either. And so there's some high-level diplomacy going on with the Vow, but there's not a lot else, except in some strange mixtures now and then on some of those border worlds.
Humans like consider it high-level diplomacy. The Vow might just be considering it a practical joke or a study effort or something like that, because not much seems to get accomplished through that diplomacy for years upon years at a time. But then again, there's always that weird human or small group of humans who somehow sneaks into Vow space and then assumes they've some reason been let in and come back with some miraculous item, artifact, or bit of knowledge. So always fascinating the weird, I won't say woe-begotten, but ragtag groups that seem to have more success in VOW space than does the Emperor himself.
Indeed. And as Phantom Truth says, and a few random lucky thefts of technology.
Lucky
a lot
theft.
of the really high technology in the known worlds originates with stolen VOW tech. The energy shields, personal energy shields that nobles like to wear and duel with. A lot of the grav plates that are on starships that give artificial gravity. All sorts of stuff originally came from the VOW, whose technology concerning force fields and such is way, way beyond what even the Second Republic achieved. Although, towards the very, very end, the Second Republic did. Oh my God! It's something from a Vorox. Run! It's a Grackle Fox.
Egg cream the vac Grackle Fox.
Which actually brings me to the Vorox. Anybody who doesn't know what those are? They're giant six-limbed predators from a crazy jungle world called Ungavorox. But they now have been entered into the known world. Some of them. Some are still considered feral and uncivilized. But then there's the nobles who House Lee Halan have groomed, become actual...
literally groomed.
Nobles, yes.
Combs, brushes. Yeah, they combed the desert for them.
Yep. But back to the high level thing, where we're going.
With the Ganok.
Yeah,
no, that's not the high level.
And the Ganok are another alien species you'll find about in the Factions book. And so where we're going to be going next is anybody who was around for the first few editions of Fading Suns know the sort of initial beginning world we sort of set up was Pandemonium. It was a place where the terraforming engines were going a bit nuts. And so there was all sorts of adventure to be had on that world. Well, in the new edition, things have progressed. There's a whole new frontier that's open, and that's the world of Hargard. It belonged to the Voldrak, but now is in the hands of the Emperor. At least
are stinking, filthy barbarians.
Yep. At least so Emperor Alexius claims. Really, he has a claim on half the world. There's the other half that Voldrak Warlord has refused to relent on. And so we'll just see where that whole situation goes. Does it come out to open war, or can diplomacy win the day? So the world of Hargard is now sort of our hub for adventure for player character types, especially the questing knights. Those are the company of the Phoenix who serve the Emperor, going out to places like the frontier, and their imperial cohorts, the priests and guildsmen, members, that is, who help them out.
One of the fun ways, there's so much room for adventure in Hargard. One of the ways I like to think about it is that the known worlders are coming there and checking out these ancient sites that the Voldrak really have ignored or have blocked off or consider, I don't want to say holy, but not to be touched areas. It's kind of like if the Voldrak suddenly came to the known worlds and wanted to adventure in the cathedrals and churches, all the ancient knowledge and the like they would find in there, and of course horrify the locals along the way. Mm-hmm. So I've been having fun with that kind of as a juxtaposition. Imagine if the barbarians were walking through the cathedrals on Holy Terra and taking all the ancient knowledge and think machines and ransacking them for all the greatness that was within them. So,
yeah, they certainly have their own different value system. But we will be getting a look at the Voldrak in more detail. The older editions had a little book that had a chapter on them, and we'll be seeing a lot more detail on who they are, what they've been up to, including lots of rules for some of their strangeness. One of the things they are known to do now and then is to become rune casters, which is a very odd sort of system. It's not really like Theurgy or psychic powers, but it's certainly powerful. But it involves scouring Anunnaki ruins for these glyphs that were left behind by the Anunnaki, the mysterious race that built the jump gates. And somehow, some way, these guys have learned how to unlock these sort of glyphs and use them to create all sorts of reality-bending effects. So we'll be looking more into runecast with the new rule set. It's one of the things.
As Bill mentioned, the Anunnaki are the precursors before humanity left their ruins, obviously left their mark on the VOW and other races, but are no longer around. But their jump gates are the most obvious manifestations. giant moon-sized relics through which we visit new solar systems, which remarkably all seem to have planets suitable for human life or certain alien life as well. So very interesting how that jump web has been connected through the years. Yeah, kind of like Planar Crossroads. Welcome, Planar Crossroads. If you have questions in chat, feel free to share those. So yeah, when we throw out weird words, Anunnaki, whatever, Clipoth, whatever, feel free to bring it up, mention it, and we'll be glad to dive more deeply into confusing you. I mean, giving you answers.
Yeah.
So that's
looking at runecasting, some other stuff, Voldrock. We're basically going to be growing the setting, reintroducing bits, but also advancing it forward. And this is all in preparation eventually for a certain book that everybody's been waiting for a long time now, that we will eventually be doing. I'm outlining and writing bits of it now. It's something called War in the Heavens Pantheon. So that will be coming. Anunnaki, yes. Previously, we had 2 books in this series called War in the Heavens. The first one looked at the symbiotes and what they were all about. The second one looked at the vow. And this third one will give us a little bit deeper of a look into the Anunnaki.
And it's that life, will open Jim, up, but not as we know it.
That'll open up all sorts of new things for the future of Fading Suns once people experience that one. But that one's not to come just yet. It's being worked on. First, we're going to get some other books that sort of help us roll out that. We certainly want to get a look at rune casting before we get into Pantheon. So people are wondering about that. Other things we'll be doing, we're going to get a nice, big, meaty look at starships. All sorts of different starships that civilians ride around in. Those who have seen the Noble Armada Miniatures game or the computer game have a sense of what the naval fleets of the noble houses are like. But the civilian ships are much more of a mishmash. They're from all over the place. People left over from the Second Republic, things that have been slapped together from other things, stolen from Kurgans or from Voldrock. Some even, maybe even from Vow Space. Who knows?
And remember that technology goes back thousands of years. Spacefaring technology goes back thousands of years. And the older ships were much better than the ones they make today. I tell you, they don't make them like they used to, but it's actually true. We've had a major tech decline. So the older ships from 1,000, even 2,000 years ago can still fly and can still be spaceworthy. So you have this bizarre mishmash. And you might not understand half the things on your ship, but it gets you through the jump gates. So you keep flying it. Those are my favorite ships for players to discover. The ships that are going to have no clue how to operate most of it. Weird things will appear every other jump through the gates. Of course, we know all their Sathra dampers work. There's no question about that. Every Sathra dampener within the known worlds works perfectly, and we don't have people having weird pseudo-spiritual experiences going through the jump gates. Right, all of you? None of you would mess with your dampener, I'm sure. And yes, Sathraism is one of the other wonderful, fun things we're getting deeper and deeper into. Or overrated. Send the Inquisition.
And that brings me to another part of the future Fading Suns. It's not ready yet, but it's almost ready. It won't be part of the next wave, but it'll be coming as a big book on psychics and psychic powers. We'll be introducing some new powers and bringing some other stuff back. So and that includes Sathraism and rules for how to disable a Sathra damper. You would never do it, of course. This is just how the Inquisition would teach you how a heretic would try to do it, so you know how it's done, just so you can detect when it's been happened. But no, you would never do such a thing yourself.
Never.
And for anybody new who doesn't know what Sathraism is, basically when humans first went through the jump gate without drones, with actual human-assisted ships, they experienced a form of ecstasy, and off their lips came the word Sathra. And they wanted more. But that wanting more turned into cults and religions and such. And the First Republic couldn't have that, so they devised these dampers to prevent that effect. And ever since, Sathraism has been a heresy.
Yep. No other
as
cult wants it
Dream
around.
Shaper 12 says. Yep, no other cult. It's competing with all the others. Can't have that.
But it is also in ancient texts. People link it to the ability of the ancient pilots to break the mimetic controls of the First Republic, and thus came the diaspora of humanity out into the stars and far, far beyond where we now know of them to be. So who knows what humans lurk in the hearts of space?
Yeah, there's tons and tons of lost worlds out there, and we have visited some of them before. And so, as part of this next wave, we'll be revisiting some of the ones. And it's like, what's been happening on some of these places? Are they ready to enter the known worlds yet? And there's uncounted other lost worlds yet that are up to you, the players and game masters, to create for yourselves and fit into the jump web.
Yeah. Any sort of stories you want to tell, you can find Lost World for it. Bill and I obviously love all sorts of science fiction, so we got a lot of it in there, but there's plenty in there even we couldn't fit in, so you can do it with the Lost Worlds. Any cool stories you want, go for it. Got a stainless steel rat you want to put somewhere? There's a Lost World for that rat.
Yep. Pretty much any kind of sci-fi thing you can think of, you can put in here somehow. It happened at some point in human history, even if it's been lost.
Thousands of years to play with, and even other aliens who aren't necessarily hanging out in the known worlds right now.
Yep.
Planet of the Ganok.
So, where else is Fading Suns going? Certainly within the setting. You've got the Emperor expanding into Voldrak space, trying to do so diplomatically, at least right now. Question is, how diplomatic are the Voldrak going to be? Is the Emperor going to have to start building up actual military forces? Is he going to get the full aid and support of the noble houses for this sort of thing? Or are they going to use this sort of as an excuse to maybe even, try to get another emperor on board? Who knows where all that's going? It's all rife with politics and possibility.
Why did Solandra Ducados leave the imperial court?
What in the world? What gossip is this?
But it is interesting peacetime because the symbiotes have backed off. The Kurgan Caliphate has been closed off. There's been the barbarians seem to be at peace. Surely this will be a new peace, unprecedented in humanity for more than 1,000 years. Nothing could disrupt this peace, could it?
We'll see where all that goes. That's part of the future of the Fading Suns.
As long as none of the Democrats try and change it. Cursed Republicans and Democrats trying to change here.
Yes, the second or the third republic. Maybe one day we'll be able to get there. Heresy. Can't be talking about such stuff. So, does anybody have any questions in particular? We can talk a little more about maybe hinting at some of the other upcoming stuff, or we can answer questions about the setting.
Yeah, we know there are Fading Suns games going on right now on the Ulysses convention, and of course tomorrow morning as well. I think one of the Fading Suns games tomorrow is full, but there's another one that has openings. So if you're interested in gaming tomorrow, check the schedule. If you put it in chat, we might. Hey, look at that! Look what just showed up in chat.
Yay! The link.
Start playing.
So yeah, try those out. Those are them are running the adventure from the Game Master book, Nightmare in Ingmark, set on Hargard, and it's sort of set up where your known world's troop has come to Hargard to try to help out some patron of yours, and have got roped into investigating some strange goings on in one of the fiefs that used to be Voldrak, but is now run by a Hawkwood.
Chainsaw Gothic has a great question that I do not know the answer to. What kind of support is planned for online gameplay?
It's being worked on. Yep, Roll20, things like that. There's definitely being worked on. There's some folks working on that for, I believe, well, I don't want to say the specific ones because I know some of them, but I'm not sure the others. So, but yes, there's definitely some support coming for this. Fading Suns 4th edition. What's that?
I don't think Admiral Nelson's in chat, but he's usually got some good insight on that as well.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, things that'll help. You can certainly run it on a tabletop quite well, but it would help if we could get some systems going for spending victory points and weird points and keeping your bank and your cash. For anybody new to this edition who haven't had a chance to look at it yet or played with it, one of the differences between this and previous editions is when you gain victory points by making a roll, those pretty much went straight into like damage dice and stuff like that. Now it goes into points that go into a cash that you get to spend any way you want on. You might increase your damage. You might need it to get through somebody's armor. You might want to save it, put it in your bank. Although your bank is limited, it gets better as your character gets better, but starts out a bit limited. You might want to save it for your next turn to use it as a precision bonus on your next hit. All sorts of stuff, all sorts of things you can do with it. So there's much more power for player characters and choice on what's going on.
Chainsaw Gothic asks, like Roll20 or VTT? What about Astral and Foundry?
Could be.
I'm just going to run mine in Excel. How's that?
Tabletop Simulator, they're all out there. Tons of these things. Forge, whatever. Yeah. I'm hoping that we'll have support for all of them soon. But we'll see how all that goes. Right now, though, anybody can still play it. They just pretty much got to, do it at the table. One of the things you got in the initial wave there was a play kit that gave you some tokens for your victory points. They were punch-out tokens, but one of the stretch goals some people got was for the metal victory points and weird points. Came a little bag, too, and everything. And an aluminum die. Any miniatures planned? You never know what's coming. I will honestly say currently no, but who knows?
We do still have the agreement in place with FASA for Noble Armada, so there are still Starship miniatures planned. So we hope to see some more of those. Of course, one of the fun things about Noble Armada is because we've said humanity has had so many different kinds of spaceships. You can use whatever spaceships you have anyway and put them into the game.
Yeah.
But yes, we've also had the specific ones. The Ducatos Dreadnought, still my favorite of all time.
Yeah, that's a great one. But yeah, you could use minis from anywhere, any game, and just have that as your space jalopy or whatever it is.
We've joked about this before. I'd love to do the miniatures combat game, skirmish game, where you have your mix of Napoleonics, knights and barbarians with swords and clubs, World War II soldiers with bolt actions, M1s, moderns with assault rifles, space guys with their blasters, and throw them all into the same mix.
Yep.
So,
Fading Suns combat can be a real clash of eras depending on the resources a thief has and such. And it gets even weirder, too, if you take the war out to the Voldrak worlds also. So you never know what's going to happen in those things.
Take me out to the Voldrak worlds.
Be all sorts of clashes. But yeah, I'd like to see some character minis, too. I mean, we did a little short run a long time ago with Holistic that came with the Vorox and Ducatos in his typical Ducatos gear and stuff like that. But how soon will we be able to get other stuff? But obviously, there's all sorts of places too. You can go and design your own minis. We all know about those. And Fading Suns, again, you can fit in pretty much any kind of genre and subgenre. Come up with an excuse for it. So you can get all sorts of
break out those 3D printers. There's all kinds of fun stuff you can do. All right, what do we got here? Oh shoot, the hilt of his sword is broken. We got the
that's the brother battle?
Yep, but with the broken hilt of his sword, I'm sorry to say. No, here's one with a good hilt. All right. There we go. Much better. All right. This one I've got the High Noble, the most noble one in the pack.
Yep. That's the Ducatos in his typical uniform or lack thereof.
The bad guy Hawkwoods, of course. Those evil Hawkwoods. Let's see. Whoop. Falling out of the stand. That's what we have right here. I think this was Charioteer. No, this wasn't Charioteer.
No, I don't remember who she was.
What do we have for that?
The Charioteer is the one with the pistol.
Yep, and unfortunately, the pistols did not survive. I took out the Theophana al-Malik character because a certain young princess is using that as her character in our game right now.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't have Theophana in here at this moment. I might be able to go dig it up And for those of you who asked about the vow before, dum dum dum.
There it is, Vow Mandarin. The 3 casts of the vow, at least the 3 casts we know about.
Yeah, let me see if I can find Theophana al-Malik.
Now, Theophana al-Malik used to date the Emperor. She's a brother Battle and an al-Malik, and she is presumed dead. Martyred herself on Stigmata. No one knows exactly what happened, but it seemed to make a difference in that war, since the symbiotes have sort of retreated and are no longer advancing. Some theories among the eschatonics.
Sword broke as well. Bill, you got to make more of these. Need new ones.
So some theories among the eschatonic order members of the Manifest Light Legion on Stigmata theorize that whatever it was that Theophana al-Malik did in her martyrdom somehow made dormant the world egg. This theory they have that symbiotes take over a world through some sort of mystical means to something called a world egg. And it seems to be dormant on Stigmata, which is kind of turned back the symbiotes. Now, as far as we know, that hasn't happened on some of the other symbiote worlds like Chernobog or Daishan yet, so we'll see what happens there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's see what else we got coming out. What's next? I've got so many different waves in my head; it's tough to keep track of them all. We get Imperial dossiers. Each of these waves will be getting some new dossiers, looking at some of the factions. And I won't tell you which ones are coming next, but they're all cool ones, obviously. But each of these dossiers doesn't just deal with that faction. It's got what's called a fact book inside that the Imperial Eye and Imperial Administration has assembled to sort of talk about topics that are related to that faction, but they're broader than the faction itself. So the Hawkwood book talked about the nobility and its ranks and land holdings and such, how that whole system works. And the Earth Orthodox talked about scripture, which, even though it's mainly Orthodox scripture, is some basic foundational scripture that is shared by most of the other sects, even if they look at it slightly differently. And the Reeves talked about money and the law, including heresies like Mammonism and such. And so hints about ones that might be coming up. One of them deals with star travel and how that happens if you're a passenger. And so that might hint at which faction is involved there. And so, yeah, that's one of the things. We'll have a big book of adventures on Hargard to help everyone get started and really roll in there. All sorts of new extra stuff happening.
And for those of you who are working up stuff on your own, Bill's talked in the past about having the ability for creators outside of Ulysses to put up their own Fading Suns content. We're still hoping to get this working sometime.
Oh yeah, we'll be rolling that out. That'll be on Drive-Thru. That'll be the community content stuff. And so far, we're calling it Company of the Phoenix. And so once this stuff has all been delivered to backers, that stuff will roll out also. And so you guys will be able to, post up your own Fading Sun stuff.
Others, and I guarantee you, some of those popular will be if you have your own Hardguard locations, throw them up there. And Hardguard NPCs, people will enjoy those.
Yep.
One of those things I wish we could have had in place back when Pandemonium was it, because everybody I talked to ran Pandemonium, started with the same core principles that we did, and then had these crazy adventures and crazy characters who would appear there. And boy, it would have been great if we could have published all their bizarre pandemoniums.
Yep. I'd love to see more creatures too. The known worlds and the barbarian worlds are full of all sorts of strange life forms, and we've never been able to detail them all, of course. We gave a glimpse once before in a book of creatures, but there are some basic rules in the Game Master book on how to build your own, so you could use those to come up with all sorts of critters. They might be native to one world, but they may have been spread to other worlds, as exotic pets or all sorts of other reasons. Maybe even war beasts that were left behind after an Emperor War skirmish that now bred beyond control.
Yep. So Phantom of Truth says we read his mind about the about putting up some Harguard locations. I was not thinking about the tour of the strip clubs of Harguard, Phantom of Truth, so you can put that one aside. Reading that dirty mind. Anyway, the octopus cult.
Yes. Nidorak from Beyond the Stars. And the Nizdarim. Yes, there will be a whole new glimpse of the Nizdarim. With more info than we've previously revealed. That's coming forth. And some glimpses, too, of the how certain humans feel about Nidorak from Beyond the Stars, or at least what they think of him. So, yeah, definitely more of that coming. Yeah, there's a tentacle. Chainsaw Gothic.
Chainsaw Gothic has plenty of those. Yep. So, some of you in other chats have talked about wanting things like maneuver cards and the like. If there are other things you specifically would like to see, please do let us know here. Obviously, Harguard locations and NPCs, high on everybody's list. Some of the classic things we've talked about are pretty well up there also. So if there's something you would love to have appear, yeah, go ahead and put that on in.
Yeah, let us know. We certainly, there's enough demand for this stuff. We'll certainly plan for it. Harguard Strip Club and Bar.
And
I don't think the church approves.
We've also talked about reworking some of the older books. So this is something else we want to know from you. Does it do you good to have a reworked Byzantium Secundus, for example? Obviously, we're doing the faction books. That's kind of critical for getting new players into the game. But another Biz 2, another Forbidden Lore, another Urbians. That's the Bestiary, in case you were wondering.
Yeah, that was Lord Urbian's Stellar Bestiary, which I do want to revisit at some point with all new critters.
Chainsaw Gothic says, Phantom Truth, note that he did not make a joke about Harguard barbarians. So we appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, there's other cool stuff coming too. I don't want to fully say it because it's not done yet. And so, but interesting little sub-items as we work our way closer and closer to War in the Heavens Pantheon and what comes after.
So Dream Shaper 12 says, yes, a relatively updated Byzantium Secundus guide and maybe some new critter books would be very helpful for a newbie like myself.
Mm-hmm.
Chainsaw Gothic nods sagely. Sage should be in bed at this point, let me tell you. So
Sage is his daughter, for anybody new to this. Byzantium Secundus was our first big setting book, and it's the throne world where most of the politics goes on. And so it certainly would be worth a read look at all that. It's more of a high-end place as opposed to what, say, Pandemonium was in Harguard, which is a frontier sort of, or Wild West sort of place. Certainly Byzantium Secundus is definitely more in the line of the courtly intrigue sort of setting. But pretty much anybody who's anybody has a representative there in Byzantium Secundus. Even all the minor guilds, even some local guilds. So it's a great place as a sort of melting pot for pretty much every single faction, no matter how large or small. Eventually in Byzantium Secundus, including the Vow Emperor. There are Vow on Byzantium Secundus.
Now, clearly there have been some changes since the first Byzantium Secundus book we put out there, the Patriarch change being the most obvious. One of the interesting things about the focus on Byzantium Secundus, that is one of the worlds where, while longevity serums are not common, they are less uncommon than on other worlds. So you can legitimately keep a lot of those NPCs going for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously there have been changes.
The Archbishop of Byzantium Secundus is now the Patriarch of the known worlds.
Moved to Holy Terra.
Yep, he's now on Holy Terra. And so we'll have to introduce who the new Archbishop at some point.
Yep. So that will be the fun one as well. Any plans for new online actual play games on Twitch?
There are indeed. There's stuff in the works, but we can't talk about them until they're actually ready to unveil, because you know how that works. If we say, hey, this will happen, and then it doesn't happen what's supposed to happen.
Then
yes, we are definitely planning for more.
and I make food jokes about it.
Yeah, you can track that ship, by the way. We sent out the link for that. I don't have it handy, but
it's still in Rotterdam, Hamburg, just sitting at the dock.
Oh boy.
Sitting by the dock of the Fading Suns. So, Chainsaw Gothic, why aren't you playing any games on Twitch? You are the one who I think would be all about some Twitch craziness. I mean, you could make not only your players, but also your viewers make sand rolls. I could expect some good tentacles coming through my oversized monitor. Exactly, Chainsaw Gothic. That is correct.
Yeah, there'll be some good stuff coming up. Yeah, hey, yeah, you should. That'd be great. Host a game on Twitch.
Yep, you start running Fading Suns, Chainsaw Gothic, let me know. Yep, and we do have the crew of the Oh Boy.
Yep.
I really like their Here Cometh the Inquisitor thread. I mean, I've enjoyed the games they're doing now, but the whole, I think it's a 5-6 part series. Comes Inquisitor was a lot of fun. So they've been having fun story arcs with their players' backgrounds and discovering their true parents. They're having an entire Luke, I am your father moments, which have been an utter blast. See, I'm not giving spoilers, but I'm giving spoilers. VB Greg, all hail the Oh Boy. There you go, Chainsaw Gothic. You're recruiting a good crew already.
All right, yeah. Get some games going, guys.
I get to run the mixed Ganak, Heron, and Materi.
And other future stuff will eventually be revisiting the Kurga Caliphate. Right now, though, to get there, you have to take the long way around through Voldrock space, pretty much.
Who knows what craziness is happening there in the interim?
Yeah, the gate to Khayyam from Hera is closed. At least it could open up at any point, though. But for right now, there's a long way around. So we will get to them again. Anybody who's curious about those guys and what's been going on in the past 20 years with them. And then what will happen once we visit Pantheon and War in the Heavens, and how that will change the Fading Suns universe and the player character troops, of course.
So all sorts of fun opportunities.
Yeah.
Azat do not know how lucky they are. I noticed the Caliph is not on this call today. We'd be hearing all sorts of inside information. Will the timeline advance with each year or stay static?
We generally advance it. It's the easiest way to do it. And now that we're up and running with some regular releases, do that sort of thing. But we never get too specific on this stuff. I mean, it's just we have things that happen. We have rough timelines that happen, but we don't say things like happened on April 23rd, 5021. It's more just, 5021, something happens. And the idea is it's vague enough you can integrate it in your games when you need to.
Think about medieval history. Things move slowly. For 95% of humanity, things never seem to change through their entire lives, unless you had a bubonic plague craziness go on. If you had 100 years war, you had 100 years war, and it was misery for 100 years as a result. That's essentially what the Emperor Wars were, this long period of warfare where the average person didn't fight, but they suffered along the way. The leaders will stay around thanks to longevity serums. They have a lot invested in many cases in the status quo, so things change slowly. It is not a specific date. In the year such and such, Alexius becomes emperor. Who cares the day? It is the year. That was a year much like any other until that star burst forth in the heavens with his coronation. But for the vast bulk of humanity, even having a new emperor has meant very little change other than people aren't killing themselves or killing each other as much as they were in the past. And there is a little more opportunity for trade and prosperity.
Mm-hmm. And the monetary system's a bit easier because no one's having to exchange their lions for sparklers or mantises as often as they used to. But that doesn't matter for serfs. They never see firebirds anyway.
Exactly. So pig is really still the rate of exchange.
Yep. So. Oh, that's interesting. As Chainsaw Gothic says, his players haven't read the books yet, so their characters know nothing. That'll be interesting.
Perfect.
It's kind of fun. Yeah, that's the thing about Fading Suns too, is because it's kind of a kitchen sink setting. You know, you don't have to tell the players about anything about the books. They don't have to have read it. You can introduce whatever you need to. If somebody's got a concept that's very different from another person's, they can still fit into the same universe. There's all sorts of different places where these things can mix. So should be easy to get all sorts of players pulled in. There's nothing they have to know ahead of time. So we'll be doing more stuff in the future on how you can ease players in, new players into your games a lot more. You know, Fading Sun so far has been pretty thick with some meta plot because we all love that sort of stuff, but we certainly want to be able to make it easy to draw anyone in. So we'll be producing more materials for that. If anybody wants to bring new players who've never really played this kind of stuff, or even who've played role-playing games before, or who have just watched, you know, some streaming games but have never actually gotten a chance to play.
Because it is certainly a game where that quest for a magic item can be great. You got to find a think machine, find an advanced weapon, find an advanced tool for your community, etc. All of those things can definitely be the focus of the game, not the entire meta plot of making sure Alexius brings peace to the heavens and isn't killed off by the Gatos, the Vow, the Reeves, the Antimonus, the Mamonis, the everybody else out there to get him.
Yep.
So, if you could recruit any RL celebrity to play Fading Suns on Twitch, who would your top choice be? Bill Bridges.
You know, once upon a time, you know, Lou Ferrigno wore the Lady Out Theophana t-shirt. Was it Dragon Con or was it
Gen Con?
He liked the shirt we had with Theophane Al-Malik and traded us a poster of him that he signed his bodybuilding days. And of course, we didn't have cell phones then, so couldn't snap a picture of him wearing his Al-Malik shirt. That would have been good.
Yep. Yeah.
I want Dave Bautista to play.
Oh, I forget. We don't go the full time on this one we do on Heretical Musings.
Oh yeah, we got to be wrapping up.
We're getting the hook waved at us. We're supposed to have been off 2 minutes ago, apparently.
The Vow are about to block our transmissions.
Yeah.
So, are there any final questions anybody have?
We're so used to going the full hour.
Keep tracking that ship on its way from Hamburg.
Yep.
And get ready to have the stuff, and then get ready for all new stuff that we'll be rolling out. Pay attention to all our, you know, Discords and websites and Twitters and all that stuff.
Yep. Thanks for joining us. Keep watching those fading stars.
I think we have one more minute stuff, but thanks. Yeah, and have some fun here. Sign up for some of the games that Fading Suns games. Great. Test it out. Try it out. Hope you like it. We'll be doing a lot more. We'll keep having these conventions going. So,
and Chainsaw Gothic, looking forward to your game.
Oh, and also keep an eye out for Heretical Musings. Basically, twice a month, Andrew and I get together for Heretical Musings. We'll talk about them on, again, the Twitters and Discords and stuff. And that's where we'll get into things like building a character, building NPCs, all sorts of different topics in the Fading Suns universe.
And the next one will be on May 6th. Somebody's getting a second dose of the craziness that day, so we'll see how that person is feeling. It might be a whole Heretical Musings about where's my Amalthean, but
I had my second dose the day we did the last one, so I was fine. So.
And remember that you can get Emperor the Fading Suns on GOG. You can get Noble Armada computer game on Steam, on PlayStation, on Xbox, on Switch. Is there a Discord channel dedicated to Fading Suns?
Yes. Yes, there is a Discord channel. It's all part of the Ulysses Discord. Maybe Robert can throw up a link for that up there. But, should be easy to find. There's lots of folks up there talking about it and asking questions. There's also on Facebook, of course. There you go. There's the link. And Facebook, there's resources too.
Good
and Twitter. So all sorts of ways to see us and find out what we're up to. Yep. Thanks a lot, guys.
We'll see you on May 6th. If I don't see the games tomorrow. Cheers,
Bye.
cheers, everybody.